Another night of pain, I see. Another night of pain. Let's recap my lineup from tonight. So I ended up cashing in low stakes tournaments, just missed in high stakes, which we'll talk about in a sec. I'll get out of the way because I've gotten some requests for people just to see the overall points because I block it at the bottom right. So let me just move out of the way real quick. Okay, so if Halliburton just played, I would have had a massive night because I had DeLon Wright and Devontae Graham in here and pivoted to obviously prioritize McConnell and Nembhard. Then I get trolled with the starting line. George Hill. We're going to start George Hill. That's just a flat out troll from Rick Carlisle. No explanation for that other than he just trolling. There's no way you start George Hill. What are you doing? Now, let me tell you this, too. I got lucky with the Mathurin fade. 14 minutes for Benedict Mathurin tonight. 14. Andrew Nembhard with Halliburton in 31 minutes. Out Halliburton, sub 20. Okay. 0 of 17 shooting for Nembhard as well. Put it on the board. Heel smashed, Sohan smashed. Embiid, that was not great. Ended up salvaging a somewhat reasonable game, I guess, below average. Poole started really slow, ended up smashing, but got pulled because of a random massive blowout. Poole, DiVincenzo, I have a low ownership. Easily going to cash in the $100 single entry. Pulled with 5 minutes to go. No one that runs. Miles Turner, 2 rebounds. Against the Spurs, 2 rebounds. 2. Won 4-2 overall in prize picks. Lose money there. It's just no one runs worse. No one runs worse. No one runs worse. And I had people in my mentions last night saying that the Nets getting blown out by the Knicks and losing by 40 wasn't random. And I know there's probably going to be someone that comments and says, the Warriors blowing out the Clippers wasn't random. Right? So we've covered this topic a few times, but we'll bring it up one more time. If you want to say that a blowout was not random, I'm sure a lot of you guys have been watching for a while know what I'm going to say, right? If you are trying to make that statement, my simple answer to you, produce your ticket. Right? Produce your ticket. If you have the ticket, the spread ticket, if you bet on them, then you can say the game was not a random blowout. If you do not have the ticket, can't say it. I'll throw it out like a judge. Throw it out in court. Nope. So, want to say a game wasn't a random massive blowout? Produce your ticket. No ticket? Can't say that. Okay? It's really pretty simple. I know there's going to be someone in the comments oh, Golden State blowing out the Clippers wasn't random. Okay, let's see your Golden State ticket. See your ticket. But that's the recap. So cash and low stakes, missed by a couple points in high stakes. Massive blowout to punish me again. And go 4-2 in prize picks, which was a really good day. Lose money there too. It's just, I literally told people on Patreon too that since I pivoted off DeLon Wright, he was going to have the career game. Pivot off DeLon Wright, 30 bomb and half. If Halliburton just played, man, such a good lineup. It literally was, I had DeLon Wright and Devontae Graham, and then I downgraded, it was DiVincenzo here to another forward. It was in like the low 4K range, I think it was, with the line was like mid fours. Devontae Graham's like mid four. Yeah, so I think it was like a cheap forward. I forget exactly who it was, but George Hill. George Hill. Why? 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 George Hill. All right, let's talk about this 10-game slate. Before we do, though, the sponsor is Prize Picks. Make sure to use the code DKDFS. If you are a first-time user, it'll give you a 100% match up to $100. I'll have it linked down below. Also, producing Prize Picks content. If you guys are interested in that, I'll have a video up after this talking about a couple props I like for tomorrow. Let's just dive into the slate. So Orlando, Charlotte. This is a game, two teams that play relatively fast. Pretty little, very little defense. So appealing game for DFS purposes. I think Paolo Banchero at 7-2 is a fine tournament play. He's been really quiet of late. He did have that 146 fantasy point game, but other than that, he's been averaging like 25 fantasy points over the last 5 games. Wendell Carter Jr., if he can stay out of foul trouble, I think he probably plays low 30s minutes and is a good play. Markelle Fultz, like the price point on him. I think we see low 30s minutes, reasonable option. Franz Wagner, kind of the same thing. Cole Anthony had a massive game. The thing with Cole Anthony is he's a good point per minute guy. So if he finds his way to more minutes like last game, he could crush. Jalen Suggs is 3.8. He's been consistently playing low to mid 20s minutes. So the two guards I think are fair value plays. Probably not going to get to Bol, my boy, or Mo Wagner. Going to Charlotte. So Terry Rozier is pretty popular. I got away with the fade last game, though. This is a little bit of a better spot. He played 38 minutes. So I like Terry Rozier. Again, gets a pretty big bump with LaMelo off the court. Becomes the go-to guy. And then Kelly Oubre, no longer a limit on him, clearly. Played 38 minutes last game. So like Oubre, like Rozier, I think Gordon Hayward's a solid option in the mid-range. He's had a couple big games of late. Mark Williams feels priced about right, but still a guy that can provide that ceiling if he's going to play about 30 minutes. DSJ didn't play as much as I thought. Only played 26 minutes off the bench. So he's more of a secondary play unless he starts. Nick Richards playing the backup 5, good point per minute guy, going to play 18 to 20 minutes, a fair contrarian value play. Brooklyn and Boston. So here we go. This game has some blowout risk, but if you think Brooklyn can keep this game competitive, I think there's some good tournament plays here. Like Mikal Bridges, Dinwiddie, I think in a competitive game, they're going to play close to 40 minutes. Now the question is, can the game stay competitive, right? So like the ceiling on both, I think I'd give the edge to Dinwiddie over Bridges, and then Nick Claxton, I think probably plays low 30s minutes. A little bit too cheap in my opinion. Cam Johnson been smashing. I think he probably plays mid-30s minutes if the game stays close, so like the ceiling on him. Don't know if I get to anyone else. Cam Thomas has been coming off the bench, playing mid-20s minutes, feels priced about right. Dorian Finney-Smith has really struggled. The minutes have not been great on Royce O'Neal. Seth Curry, Joe Harris, I don't trust the minutes on them either. So I would say mainly the top guys, and I like them for tournaments because if this game stays competitive, don't be surprised if a couple of these guys are pushing 40 minutes. On the Boston side, again, it's just like, did we not call this? Team to himself, no Jaylen Brown, bust and ejected. Awful matchup, fully healthy team, 70 bomb, triple-double. Tatum, Brown, both reasonable spend-ups. I don't know if I prioritize either of them, but the ceiling's massive on both. The guards are all fine. Brogdon, Smart, White. There's no priority. So this is kind of just like a boring team to talk about. Rob Williams, Al Horford, they're okay plays. Rob Williams feels a little cheap, but then again, like he's still shown the floor. Al Horford had a really big game last game, but most of the time he's going to give you like 20 to 25 fancy points. Another kind of fair value play. So just the main guys, Minnesota and Boston. No priorities though. Portland and Atlanta. Simon's doubtful, not expected to play. Once again, it's going to be the Dame show. If you think this game stays competitive, then Dame has a massive, massive ceiling. I mean, we saw him almost put up 100 fancy points 3 games ago. Jeremy Grant has kind of been quiet as the number 2 option. Had a little bit of a better game, I guess, last game, going for 41 fancy points. He's fine. Reddish should start now with Simon's out. I think we probably get around 30 minutes from him. I like him for value at 4-3. Thibault had that game where he had like 4 blocks and a steal. We know he can do that, but I'd say a bit of an outlier game last game. Still a decent value because he should start and play decent minutes. Watford and Eubanks are splitting the center position. They're reasonable values. You'll see some Little, you'll see some Sharp, but they're just dart throws in tournaments off the bench. Atlanta, pretty simple to talk about. I like the ceiling on Trey and Murray as contrarian spend-ups. Neither are priorities. Capella, if he plays close to 30 minutes, does feel a bit too cheap, especially going up against this Portland Trailblazers front court. Hunter, Collins, Bogdanovich, Bay, all secondary plays. I think my favorite probably would be Bay. 28, 32, 27 minutes over the last 3 games and is only 4.2K. Phoenix, Chicago. So this Phoenix team looked pretty good with Kevin Durant. He only played 27 minutes. I don't think I can get to KD yet. Booker had a massive game, but feels a bit like an outlier. Ayton, Chris Paul feel a bit pricey. Okogie feels priced about right. None of the bench guys really playing massive minutes, so I don't know if I'm going to get to anyone on the Phoenix side. For Chicago, tougher matchup. None of the big three stand out to me. Pat Williams feels pricey coming off the bench. I guess my favorite plays probably would be these guards like Beverly, Ayo, Kobe, Caruso. Beverly had the massive game last game. He'll probably get the most ownership, 29, 33 minutes over the last two. I think he's a fair value. New York, Miami, this one will be pretty quick. Not a ton that I love here. On the Knicks side, tough matchup. I guess my favorite play probably would be Mitchell Robinson, who should play, 25 to 30 minutes. If he can stay out of foul trouble, I think he's a decent option. But Barrett, Hart, both feel priced about right. Randall and Brunson, not really sure if I want to pay those price points against Miami. So nothing I love for the Knicks. On the Heat side, comes down to Jimmy Butler. If Jimmy Butler plays, I don't think there's anything that stands out. If Jimmy Butler misses, that opens up a lot, makes Bam and Hero become pretty good plays. Would expect the minutes to go up for both and usage obviously to go up. Love, don't really know if I would prioritize him at 5-3, but you should just get more run for guys like Martin and Oladipo and Vincent and Strus would all look a bit better if Jimmy is out too. Utah and Oklahoma City. I mean, this Utah team is thin, but they still somehow find a way to just play these scrubs on the bench like a lot of minutes. And it feels like starters just don't play a ton. I don't know. It's frustrating. But Markkanen is the guy with the highest ceiling. However, 9.6K is hard for me to go out of my way to play Lauri Markkanen at that price point. Walker Kessler, this is what I'm talking about. The minutes are a little bit frustrating right now. I think we probably get around 30, which makes him a secondary play. THT only played 30 minutes last game, no foul trouble. So that was a little bit concerning. Still a solid option mid-range, still a guy that can stuff a stat sheet. Olynyk at 5'9", I think we get around 30 minutes from him. Chris Dunn played a bit more because Ochai Agbaji got injured, so be a little bit careful. Dunn also, he only has point guard eligibility. Agbaji should start. He's not the best point per minute guy, but he is only 3'7" as shooting guard, small forward eligibility. You'll see Gay in their rotation. You'll see Fettuccine Alfredo in the rotation. I'm not going to get to those guys, though. Moving on to Oklahoma City. So finally fade Josh Giddey. 50 bomb and a triple-double. When I finally fade. When I play Giddey, 3 of 14 shooting, season low minutes. If the Thunder play the normal minutes, I like the upside in Giddey. I like the upside in the guard, Jalen Williams. I like Lou Dort. I like Isaiah Joe. Giddey, the guy with the highest ceiling. We saw it last game. But Jalen Williams has played really, really well. The prices come up, but we've seen back-to-back big games from him. Lou Dort played 36 minutes. If he gets those type of minutes again, I think he's a pretty safe play. But like I said, it's never a guarantee with the Thunder. Isaiah Joe was 4-5. He moved to the bench. Still played 29 minutes, though. Sarge was a relatively popular play last night, which I didn't necessarily agree with because before that 27-minute game, we saw 9 and 12 minutes from him. So you just never know what's going to happen with this big rotation. You got the other big Jalen Williams. You got Aaron Wiggins. JRE started last game. I don't know. He'll put 16 minutes. The Thunder are I hate seeing them on the slate. I really, really do. Memphis and Denver. Ja Morant, 10.3K. Anytime Ja touches the court, he can do this. So like his upside in tournaments wouldn't come a priority, though. Bane and Triple J, when this team's fully healthy, they're more secondary plays to me. Can they still have big games when Ja's there? Yeah, but it's less likely. Clark, Tillman, they should split the center position. I think whoever starts is going to look a little bit better. 4-6 for Tillman, 4-5 for Clark. Tillman been starting recently. Dylan Brooks, if he knocks down his shots, is a fair value play, but his usage has been pretty low. Moving on to Denver, so Gordon, MPJ, both probable. So this team should be basically fully healthy. Like the ceiling a lot in Jokic. Only played 3 quarters last game, but I think Jokic looks good. I think Jamal Murray's a little bit too cheap. I think we see mid-30s minutes if the game stays competitive. Gordon, MPJ are secondary plays, and KCP. We always know we're getting for KCP. 4.2 does feel like a little bit underpriced. He's a 3-and-D guy, though, so if he's not knocking down the shots, he can hurt you. But he's going to play, 30 to 35 minutes. So he's playable. Pelicans and Warriors, no Zion, JV doubtful, no Larry Nance. So we should get Hernangomez and Hayes playing majority of the minutes at the center position. However, the Pelicans did close small last game. Ingram's 8-6. I think I prefer him to CJ at 7-8. We saw the big game from Ingram last game, but CJ had a solid game as well. With JV doubtful, Hernangomez and Hayes should play majority of the minutes at the center position. Hernangomez, the much better point per minute guy of the two. However, it was Hayes at the big game last game in limited minutes. Only 16 minutes, went for 32 fantasy points. Where Hernangomez kind of struggled in the starting lineup, 21 minutes, 20 fantasy points. I still prefer Hernangomez, even with that most recent performance from Hayes. Richardson got benched last game, but we've seen games where he's played like 35 minutes. Guys that would benefit if they do go small would be like the wings, like Herb Jones, Trey Murphy, Najee Marshall. These guys would all see a little bit more run if the Pelicans decide to close small. On the Golden State side, so once again, I liked Poole and Thompson a lot for tournaments today. I like them for tournaments again tomorrow. The ceiling's there. The floor is low, though. Like, we've seen floor games from Clay and floor games from Poole, but I like the upside in both of the game stays competitive. Draymond's a stat sheet stuffer, a pretty safe play. DiVincenzo, should play 30-ish minutes, 30 to 35, a fair play. Looney feels priced about right. Kuminga had the massive game off the bench last game. That was a bit of an outlier, but still a guy that should see mid-20s minutes and is playable for sure. All right, Clippers and Kings. So I finally don't click Mason Plumlee with Ivica Zubac out. 50 bomb for Plumlee. But when I stand is to play Mason Plumlee, no way. Benched. Also, I cashed on the Showdown slate with Norman Powell. Reasonable shooting from Norman Powell tonight. You guys aren't sure? Go ahead, check Norman Powell's performance. Nice game from him. But yeah, I like the matchup. I think Kawhi, Paul George, Westbrook are all fine. None of these guys are priorities. If I had to pick one at the top, probably would be Kawhi. Norman Powell, if he can actually make a couple shots, has a ceiling and should play more, you would think, if Morris doesn't play again. Plumlee started. I don't know if he's going to close, but we know he's a good point per minute guy. We saw it tonight. Eric Gordon started. If he starts again, I think he's a pretty good value with the shooting guard, small forward eligibility. Nick Batum should play a bit more if Morris and Zubac are both out once again. On the King side, you got Fox most likely in. The bonus at 10.1, like the ceiling on him. I wouldn't call him a must, but I think he's a pretty good play. Fox, more of a tournament-only play there at 9.1. And then you have this group of Monk, Herter, Barnes, Murray. Like, whoever plays the worst of this group will be benched. Like, last couple games, it's been Malik Monk, but we've seen games where Herter's got benched. We've seen games where Barnes has got benched. We've seen games where Murray's got benched. So that's the risky part you run into, is they kind of will run the hot hand. But I feel like at least one of these wings is going to have a pretty good game. Like, you saw 33 minutes from Herter last game, 37 minutes for Barnes, and a massive game kind of out of nowhere. And then Keegan Murray went for 36 fantasy points in 36 minutes. So I like the wings. I feel like if this game stays competitive, one of these guys would have a really good game. But the tough part is I don't know which one's going to be. And this will be another situation in tournaments. Like, if one of these wings is getting a lot of ownership, I'm just going to go to the low owned option. All right. So for example, if everyone's playing Harrison Barnes tomorrow because he had the big game last game, I'm just going to go to Herter or I'm going to go to Murray, right? So if they're all like similar ownership, then it's going to be tough to choose. I think I'm just going to, if I do play one of these guys, it's going to be whoever's the lowest owned. And finally, Minnesota and the Lakers. So no Cat still. I like the ceiling and back-to-back really bad games from him, really bad shooting, but you would think this is the get-right spot against the Lakers. So I think he's a good tournament play. Gobert, minutes have not been amazing on him, but should be able to have his way against the Lakers front court. Conley, Sloman, McDaniels are all kind of secondary options for me. McDaniels probably the easiest to get to if he can stay out of foul trouble, 4.4K. Don't think we'll get to Naz Reid. Taurean Prince will see rotation minutes at 3-4. I think he's an okay last guy in. Let's finish up here with the Lakers. So, no LeBron, no D'Lo. Anthony Davis and Schroeder are both probable. I really like AD at 10-2. He's going to be the go-to guy, and I think he's too cheap here without LeBron. So I really like AD. I really like Schroeder. Played 37 minutes last game. He's going to be the go-to guy. He's going to be the ball handler, number 2 on offense behind Anthony Davis. So like Schroeder, like AD, Vanderbilt, Beasley, back-to-back bad games for both. So I want to see. It'll be interesting to see what the ownership is in them. They were both really popular the last couple slates and both kind of busted. Beasley has been struggling shooting, but we know if he can get it going, like that, he can go for 40 fantasy points. So I think I prefer the upside a bit more on Beasley as opposed to Vanderbilt. Rui, probably out of play with Anthony Davis back. I don't know if he sees enough minutes. Reeves, Troy Brown, Lonnie Walker will see rotation minutes. I think my favorite of the group probably would be Reeves at 4-1, but you did see a pretty big game from Troy Brown last game, going for 33 fantasy points in 34 minutes. So, that's going to do it for the video, guys. Keep an eye out for the prize picks video. Enjoy the rest of your night. Make sure to like, subscribe, hit the notification bell if you do enjoy. And we'll see you in the next video.